Well, for more on this, we can talk to our Jerusalem correspondent, Noga Tarnopolsky, who joins us live. Noga, as I mentioned, when that Board of Peace was first presented, it was framed as something that would work to establish a lasting peace in Gaza after the war there. But now it's apparent it's taking on much more wider role.
That's right, Karis. At the same time, wider and also a much vaguer role that none of us really understand. I think it is important to mention that the White House spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, attempted to give this board a sort of legal foundation by attaching it to the UN, saying that this board is being constituted as was ratified in the UN resolution that did, in fact, support the 21-point Trump ceasefire deal for Gaza. This is now way back when, just a few months ago, but it feels like another century, when this board was, as Trump said, supposed to be overseeing the reconstruction and the disarming, reconstruction of Gaza and the disarming of Hamas. Now, as we see, it appears to be something entirely different. It appears to kind of convey all of Donald Trump's ambitions to have legal legitimacy to do all kinds of things in the world. So in that context, I just do want to say, under US law, the only way an international convention of any type can be ratified is with 2/3 of the Senate. That has not happened. And under just normal conventions, human conventions of the last 100 or 150 years, the way international organizations are founded is by a vote of members of a founding council. None of that has happened here. So this Board of Peace, in fact, to the best of my ability to understand at this point, appears to be Donald Trump's effort to place himself at the head of a kind of wide-ranging international body that he thinks will give him legitimacy to act internationally, but that has kind of skipped all of the normal conventions, all of the rules and regulations that we know for the establishment of international organizations. So that is the reason that Europe in particular has refused to join all of the nations of Europe except for Hungary, for Viktor Orban, because they're concerned that despite Donald Trump attempting to kind of hook himself to this one UN resolution and saying he wants to collaborate with the UN, that this is in fact his effort to be able to bypass all kinds of international conventions and international order in general.
So, Noga, tell us more about the people who are on the executive board then and what kind of involvement they'll have in things like in Gaza.
Well, that is another question mark at the point. So when we were first informed about this Board of Peace back in October, this was supposed to be an international board overseeing the reconstruction of Gaza. It now appears quite distant from that. Underneath this board, there was supposed to be, what you just mentioned, an executive committee, a technocratic new administration for Gaza. The members of this board have also been named, and most importantly, the chairman of this board, who is Ali Shat, a well-known but quiet behind-the-scenes Palestinian former minister, very closely tied to the Palestinian Authority and widely respected, a technocrat in the best sense of the word. That committee is formed of other Palestinian experts, I would say technocratic experts, who are supposed to enter Gaza and begin to administer the entire enclave in the place of Hamas and, of course, in the place of the Israeli army, that per phase 2 of Donald Trump's ceasefire is supposed to withdraw to the perimeter of Gaza. At the same time, Hamas is supposed to disarm. We did hear Donald Trump mention that a little bit, threatening Hamas about what may happen to them if they don't disarm. But that said, for now, Israel has not even allowed the members of this executive committee into Gaza. They have not been able to begin work in any substantive measure. And Nikolai Mladinov, the former UN official who is supposed to basically be the top contact man, the man connecting the Board of Peace with the Palestinian Executive Committee, the man basically set to be a mechanism himself to put this entire phase 2 of the ceasefire plan In effect, he did speak today at Davos as well, as did Ali Shad, as I said, the Palestinian. He is the only person I've heard speaking today in Switzerland who sounded optimistic and purposeful. He seems to believe that he will be able to put all of this into place. But that said, none of it has started just yet.
Well, Noga, we do have to talk about the situation on the ground in Gaza because, in the meantime, it does remain precarious with Israeli airstrikes continuing and other accusations of violations of this first phase of the ceasefire.
That's right. There are accusations really on all sides. And we should mention Palestinians continue to be killed in Gaza by Israeli fire daily. It's not obviously at the pace that it was when the war was, full bore. And it is also not the amount of humanitarian aid coming in is being supervised by the Americans from their headquarters in southern Israel. And that really has stepped up significantly since the ceasefire did come into place. All of that said, one of the things that this chaos, international questioning caused by Trump's ambitions regarding Greenland, his threats regarding Iran, and so on and so forth, one of the things is that there are very few eyes now on Gaza, and there's very little attention. So the Gazans are facing an almost the extinction of their medical system. Israel has stopped the operations as of today of Doctors Without Borders, who are running any number of clinics and basically taking care of at least more than half of the medical care of Gazans. And as I said, Gazans continue to be killed by Israeli fire every day, including the 3 journalists and many others. So that all remains a bit of a blank spot here. And again, until we see a concrete next step of people entering Gaza and taking charge, we really don't know yet where this is going.
All right, Noga Tarnopolsky, thank you very much for that update from Jerusalem.